Doomed marriages marked by tragedy and scandal. 8 marriages to 7 husbands. Here are Elizabeth Taylor's wedding charts. Part 1. A wedding chart is simply obtained by using the timestamp that a wedding begins and reading its astrological profile that will represent the marriage. As a child actress, Taylor's contract under Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer would foreshadow her Leo experiences. Taylor's Jupiter in Leo represents many romances, yet in retrograde, bad romances. Her Leo energy brought riches, gold, and awards, but with grief. The ascendant and the ascendant lord represents the groom, the descendant, and its lord represents the bride. Number 1, Conrad Hilton, whose wealthy father owned the famous hotel chain. This wedding chart on May 6, 1950, is ruled by Venus, the lord of the ascendant known as the chart ruler. It represents the husband, squaring Uranus, a fast divorce, and sudden acts of abuse due to the Aries energy. The chart ruler is conjunct the North Node, showing that it is a fake marriage set up by Taylor's Hollywood studio, and that the husband, which Venus rules, is not authentic. In the 6th house of work, this is largely for work purposes. Although Elizabeth was still hopeful it could work, the ascendant will show the environment for Elizabeth. Pluto in Leo, a strong sun, sextiles Neptune, revealing the profile of Taylor's movie, which opened that month starring her gay leading man Monty, represented by Neptune. Neptune, also a symbol of phony and fraudulent, rests on the chart's ascendant, confirming a fake marriage. Neptunian themes like alcohol and addictions would also reveal the profile of another film MGM released that year, The Big Hangover. It was said that as soon as the wedding was over, on the ship the Queen Mary, Hilton ghosted Elizabeth, disappearing into the casinos. The marriage wouldn't last a year due to claims of physical abuse and addictions. Number 2, the wedding chart with a famous British actor, Michael Wilding, married in 1952 for 5 years and produced 2 children. The groom, usually seen as the ascendant, it would be switched, since Elizabeth was the one proposing marriage. A Place in the Sun had been a huge hit, which earned box office gold and was filming her next movie, Love is Better Than Ever. She became the queen of the box office. Wilding's out-of-control drinking can be seen from the stellium in Pisces representing drinking. Poor nodal aspects showed the marriage had nowhere to go. When planets are in poor aspect to nodes, something is stuck. Saturn, the planet of age and depression, squared the nodes and represented Taylor's complaint that they were depressed and found it difficult to get out of bed. Saturn conjunct Neptune, stuck in bed. A similar aspect took place in 2023 when the term bed rotting was coined, described as a method of self-care. But Mrs. Wilder would disagree.
Bye-bye.
Inspiration was lost. Number 3, Taylor married Mike Todd in Acapulco, Mexico in 1957. Both groom and bride had strong Leo qualities, including award shows and a child on the way. Friends would later recall the view of mountains during the ceremony. Taylor later recalls the details of the wedding that included fireworks.
All of a sudden, the mountain became alive with exotic dancers doing a fertility dance.
The groom's real name was Goldbogen, and Elizabeth would officially become Mrs. Goldbogen. Todd's wife, prior to Taylor, was actress Joan Blondell, who divorced him years earlier. One of Todd's favorite sayings was, "You're making a mountain out of a molehill," and would foretell his fate. Taylor is a Leo name. Todd, a producer and showman, was marrying Taylor, who was expecting his child. He accepted an Oscar after they were married. A wedding chart shows not only what is happening at the time of the wedding, but the potential of the marriage. Uranus, the planet of divorce, reflected that Taylor had just won a divorce from Wilding, her second husband, 3 days before the wedding. Uranus ruling accidents in Leo reflected Taylor's back accident at the time of the wedding. Another foreshadowing of an accident.
20 years older than his bride, and his bride felt at that time about 90 years old because she was crippled and was in a metal sort of brace.
Together they promoted Todd's film Around the World in 80 Days, a movie featuring a hot air balloon foreshadowing Uranus themes up high. Months later, Taylor would begin working on her role as Maggie the Cat and posing on an iconic brass bed that shines like gold, the movie title reflecting a Uranus theme. The superstar couple would enjoy attending parties together and receiving many accolades. Another profile of Leo, although many believed Todd was a bully to directors and producers in the business, especially to demand film royalties. Friends referred to their private plane as the Lucky Liz. Uranus is the symbol for a plane. The plane was named after Taylor. The ascendant represents identity, or in this case, the name of the plane. It is also the Goldbogen marriage. Trining Jupiter suggests the word lucky is its nickname. Taylor was indeed lucky and was too sick to fly that rainy night. The groom would have a premonition, with a square from Neptune indicating bad weather on the night of Todd's death. The plane crashed. The Lucky Liz crashes. Rain would be a major theme for this wedding chart. Todd would interrupt Taylor on set during frequent visits as she filmed Raintree County. It made the director very angry, shown by Mars. 5 months after the Raintree movie premiere, the rain and lack of visibility would be a major factor in her husband's fatal crash. The most eerie Leo theme. Mike Todd died near Grants, New Mexico, which neighbored Matt Taylor, a volcanic field. If there's a good aspect to Uranus, it will predict the future. Here, it predicts a future husband, who was Mike Todd's grieving best friend, but he was already married to her best friend, Debbie Reynolds. In any wedding chart, Jupiter in retrograde can show a husband who would disappoint. Here, there would be 2. Number 4, Eddie Fisher. Marry in May, rue the day, says a wedding superstition. And it would be Elizabeth's second wedding in May, this time to actor and entertainer Eddie Fisher. The first was her marriage to Conrad Hilton. It would also be the second wedding taken place during Jupiter retrograde, Mike Todd's being the first. Jupiter represents a husband in the chart, and in retrograde shows flaws or disappointments. The marriage would last 5 years. Taylor would later call it an awful mistake. Fisher would leave the young family he had with a devastated Debbie Reynolds for a grieving film superstar. Fisher married a 27-year-old Taylor at 2:30 p.m. on May 12, 1959, outside of Vegas in a Jewish synagogue mere hours after he was granted a divorce from Reynolds. Although Fisher was known to give Elizabeth extravagant gifts, the chart would suggest he was greedy and after her money. The groom, the lord of the ascendant, is in Taurus. Mercury opposes Neptune, the sign of the fish. He was called a fish or Fisher. Debbie Reynolds, the name that symbolizes the plastic wrap, and the actress known for a major role in Singin' in the Rain, is represented by planet Neptune, the planet of precipitation and plastic. Fisher and Reynolds would no longer speak, and Fisher disappeared without paying support, seen by the second house of money. The 7th house shows the bride in Taylor and Fisher's wedding chart. The lord of the 7th, Neptune, opposed Mercury, the sign of two actress wives. One he would leave. The other would leave him for a man named Dick, shown in the shadow of the 12th house, Pluto. Both wives would disappear. In Taylor's 1959 solar return chart predicting her year, Fisher is represented by Uranus, the lord of the 7th house of partner. It squares nefarious black moon Lilith, indicating bad intentions, and opposing Neptune, a fake. A shocked Taylor would disappear when Fisher pulled a weapon on her and held her hostage in a jealous rage. Stay tuned for part 2, revealing more Leo themes and Neptune featuring Michael Jackson.